Hello and welcome, Star Wars fans, to this week's episode of Duel of the Ranks, a show where we debate takes so hot that they'd melt a planet with twin suns. My name's Brody, and I'll be hosting this episode with my co-hosts Amanda and Christian as we attempt to discover what story is truly the best from a galaxy far, far away. On this week's episode, we're going to be discussing ranks and hot takes from Star Wars Rogue One. By the end of this episode, we'll have a definitive answer on where this piece of Star Wars content ranks amongst the rest. Now, with that said, let's get this show started. Amanda, what was Rogue One all about?
Taking place just before the events of A New Hope, former scientist Galen Erso is taken from his quiet farm life by the evil Orson Krennic to make him the lead engineer for the Empire's new planet-destroying weapon. His daughter Jyn grows up, joins the Rebel Alliance, and proposes a high-risk plan to steal the plans to the Death Star, knowing her father has hidden a key to its destruction.
Boom.
Boom.
The first anthology Star Wars film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what a hit it was.
All based on
yeah.
a plot hole.
Yeah.
a very big plot hole.
Big one.
Mind you.
And I'm glad we got a movie about it.
Yeah, we didn't even really talk about it when we talked about A New Hope, how the way to destroy the Death Star was to just specifically hit this one spot. And I think that this movie helps make that make sense.
Yeah. I loved, like, the idea of a Suicide Squad for a movie and how it all worked, like, with all of them just, like, killing them all off. And I think that's breaking the formula for Star Wars, first of all. Also, getting an anthology film that was very different. Like, out of the box, I was like, oh my goodness, we're going to start breaking some Star Wars rules. How's this going to pan out? And it was really cool how it happened. And it was
really well done.
It was really well done. It was epic, and I welcome more anthology films.
Yeah. I'm just going to say, spoiler alert, I gave this movie a perfect score.
Perfect score, people.
Perfect.
Oh, how
What?
could you do that?
This, to me, embodies everything that Star Wars is. Everything that it, like, hopes to be, everything that makes it what it is. It shows why the rebellion was created. It shows people finding it within, like, Jyn is sort of skeptical of joining the rebellion at first. And it isn't until she learns her father's heart and, like, gets to know more of the people that she finds this cause within herself to fight for. And that is really admirable to watch through a character journey. And then also you have Cassian, who is set to assassinate her father. And he seems to be this guy that's kind of like good soldiers follow orders. But when he gets to that point and he sees that Galen Erso is actually trying to save the other scientists, he puts down his weapon. And I think that shows that Cassian starts to check in on himself too, and the fact that the two of them come together after the Rebel Alliance doesn't agree to take Jyn's plan because it's too high risk. They're like, you know what, we just got to do it anyway. Like, no one else is going to do it. And that is the heart of the rebellion. And the Battle of Scarif, I think, is one of the best battles in all of Star Wars.
Battle.
It really
like,
is.
it is, you truly get to understand the scale of the battle. And I feel like this is more properly a war film than any other Star Wars film is. You get to feel the emotional weight of war.
Yeah. This is definitely a war film. And I'm glad director Gareth Edwards went for that. And had, like, the U-Wings coming in, like the U-boats. And, like, it was really cool. And, like, it's really hard to knock this film in any category
That's
because
not true.
Okay.
Well, why don't you go ahead?
Deception.
I mean, there are some, personal, not qualms, but, like,
Bor Gullet.
like, I didn't really see the need or the stretch for this Bor Gullet type alien character and the line like,
Hold on, that's your fault with this movie?
yeah, really, that's the only thing I love this movie. I really do. Like,
Bor Gullet
and
is your one critique.
I don't hate Bor Gullet. I just think when I was watching this film, Bor Gullet kind of like took me out of it. I was like, what the heck is he? One, like Forrest Whitaker, awesome. Saw Gerrera is awesome, but
Yeah.
he definitely like, I don't know if it was just like he's just really into this role with the whispering or raspy voice, but he's like, one tends to lose one's mind. I was just like, oh gosh, what's going on here? And like Bor Gullet, I feel like either needed a deleted scene or an
Yeah.
extended scene, because it was kind of just like, what are you throwing in here, man? Are you just trying to cross your bingo card of like weird alien for the Star Wars movie,
Yeah. It did not faze me that much. I will say to that point, I feel like this was the breathiest Star Wars movie.
You're gonna have to explain that to our listeners.
Well, you have Cassian who talks with a very breathy voice. Always, it's kind of.
He's a spy,
Kind
so he
of
can't be like
whispering.
overheard,
He
and
always
you can't read his lips. You
I
know,
don't know
so-
what he's going to say next, but he's going to come for you, and he's going to shoot you in the back. Wait, what? What? And then there was Brody. I'm the pilot. I'm here to.
Booty Brook.
I'm Brody. Good to fix everything. Don't worry. Like, oh wait, what? He's like talking very fast, very breathy, and then again, Forrest Whitaker's. Beat him to Bor Gullet. Bor Gullet will know.
Lies.
Deception. Like, just like I have to really track to like hear.
to
and
like
I'm like,
adjust the volume.
put on the
Yeah.
subtitles. Be like, okay, that's what they're saying. But
No, this film is perfect, and I think what is so good about it is that you're not relying on any of the emotional story of any of the characters that you've been introduced in any other Star Wars
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
Like, this is a
there.
totally new batch of people that we've never heard of before until the end when you see Vader. And it's also not just about one character. Like, yeah, Jin is kind of our main character, but really it's a story about this whole group.
Yeah.
And the supporting actors in this are just amazing. Like,
Yeah.
really make this movie shine.
It's about the collective of the rebellion.
And it's also like such a diverse group too.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the lore. It was really cool how they still like Rogue One is very much a bridge, for or a prequel to A New Hope, but a bridge for a lot of things. And so it's not like it can do a bunch of things that are going to expand or like do new things, but it does do some cool things with lore still with the Force, or like the Guardians of the Wills, you got Chirrut and frick, I'm blanking on the other guy.
I can't remember his name.
But like those are an awesome pair.
problem with this movie.
What is the planet that they go to? Oh, that's
Jeddah.
how great. Yeah,
Jeddah.
Jeddah is a great planet.
Great music.
And we also have
Bow.
and we have like Jeddah had the like structures that were like statues
Yeah,
and stuff
like
like
the
that.
Jedi
Like
temple.
I want to learn about
Yeah,
the
that was
lore
cool.
of that.
Very cool. Kyber, you're talking about Kyber crystals now.
Yeah.
Like you're pulling things in. It's like let's get into the lore that we've all wanted to dive more into with books or games or whatnot. It's like let's put it in the movie, and let's have a funny droid. K2SO. I love
K2SO is a
K2SO.
great addition.
I love it. Like when I never thought I would hear a droid in Star Wars when he like whops him and he's like, and there's a fresh one if you mouth off again. Like that's so awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
What didn't you like about this film, Brody?
Let
it's
us
too
have
aggressive.
it. Too
It's
aggressive.
too aggressive. It pursued too much with this cast. I think because of the time constraints of this thing being limited to 2 hours, there wasn't a whole lot of character development. You didn't really get to know many of the characters. I would argue that Jyn Erso, Felicity Jones' character, she doesn't really have much of an arc. She doesn't really change at all. She just kind of comes in, life sucks, she's going to continue to be this rebellious person, And at the very end, society's like, well, if you're going to give your life for this thing, I guess we're okay
That is
with it.
so not even true. At the beginning, you see her not even want to have anything to do with Saw Gerrera, or like she doesn't believe in any of this stuff. She wants to just mind her business and like live her life. And then later on, she becomes so impassioned about the cause that she's willing to lead a group of people to.
But she's
certain
still the
death.
same person. She's just targeting
But
that
she
fire
changed.
an opinion, I guess, and just
Mm,
took that same
an
fire.
opinion. Ooh, I'm not into something. Okay, yeah, I am into something.
I
That's a
mean,
part of an
again,
opinion.
I think it's so small. It's just this minor change in direction. She's not changing. Like, we look at Luke, we look at Leia, we look at Han. They are like changing who they are as people by the end of this series. Whereas,
I don't know if I agree with
I think-
anything.
I don't know. I think I'm getting what you're saying, but those guys, like, they had 3 movies,
Yeah.
whereas Jyn Erso, and she's like sharing a lot of the screen with all these others. I feel
that's
like
what I'm saying. There's so many.
there are a
characters.
lot. I do think they got the biggest bang out of the buck with her on the limited screen time she did have. I would say I agree a little more with like Amanda on she did change her opinion. Like she wanted to stay out of this fight. She chose, or like she got into it. She got involved. She chose.
And she fought hard.
Yeah, and it's like
Yeah.
she's still gonna be the same. Like she's gonna be the same person. She's Jyn Erso still. She's the daughter of Galen Erso, but she changed in this way where she grew, or like she took this stand.
This was the first
and she
movie I saw in
sacrificed.
Star Wars history where I was like, all of them can die, and I wouldn't care. And they all did, and I didn't.
Yikes.
And I will tell you, there was only
Heartless.
one character in this whole movie that made it somewhat redeemable.
Director
besides-
Krennic.
Oh my gosh, Orson Krennic.
Yeah.
Oh, is that who you're gonna say?
Yes.
Oh, he's
but-
my favorite.
Ben. What is it? Ben Mendelsohn.
Mendelsohn.
Yeah.
My goodness, that
I
was
love him in this film, man.
fantastic. I mean, you look at that, and he essentially was the guy again directing this whole project for the Death Star, just to see Tarkin step in, take it over, then kill him with his own weapon.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Man, it was a lot. I mean, he was a great character.
We stand amidst my achievements, not yours.
Oh,
I love it when he's like, I love that him and Galen have this past and this dynamic where they're kind of frenemies.
Yeah.
And like at the beginning, he's like, farming? Really?
Yeah.
And he's like, it's a peaceful life or whatever. But like they've got this little, I like their dynamic.
Yeah. The
And-
history. Well, it had to exist because otherwise
Yeah.
he wouldn't be able to trust Galen.
Yep. For sure.
Mhm.
And I think that worked really well for the story of this. I love Krennic as like the pseudo villain for this film and his moment with Vader.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love it.
choke on your aspirations,
Director.
Like, I didn't hate that line either. A lot of folks thought it was like really tacky, and
But you want Vader to pull those, like, he's dramatic.
He's got dad jokes.
Yeah.
he doesn't know why yet.
Speaking of Vader, I wanted to call out that so I wasn't familiar with Saw Gerrera before I watched this movie because I watched it before Clone Wars and all of that stuff. So this was my first exposure to him, and it was interesting to see him with his breathing apparatus and how he represents sort of like the extreme opposite side of Darth Vader. Not so much in the sense that he's like out there like destroying planets, but that you see his like opposite parallel
Yeah.
existing in the world with the same type of scary breathing.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I would even go as far as like he is depicted as an extremist
Mm-hmm.
in ways. You know, Mon Mothma's trying to
Yeah,
like distance
yeah.
herself from him, and like, so I think it's accurate. You're drawing that parallel.
Mm-hmm.
He relies on this breathing apparatus, you know, and Saw Gerrera is a very interesting character from the Clone Wars and in Rogue One, like.
And in Bad Batch.
Yeah, and it's like it's showing, like Star Wars is showing, like, you know what, there are a lot of, like, there are extreme ideals on both sides,
Mhm.
and it's important to identify extremists and like be like know your boundaries,
Yeah.
know where you're gonna draw these lines, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
But also, I still am lost on how did Saw Gerrera age to be like 70 in maybe like
I forgot you
10
talked about.
years?
You had a good point on this one.
like because like in Clone Wars he loses his sister, and I don't know, he shouldn't be as old as he is technically.
It's a rough life.
It's been a while though since like
But it's not 70 years a while. And also, like, what happened to him that he needed the breathing apparatus is something I want to know.
I think that's one of the bigger faults in Star Wars period is the age.
Continuity. Yeah, even with
Like the way
how
people
old
age.
Obi-Wan is in A New Hope. Like, that doesn't make sense. Also, it doesn't make sense that Luke, or like this generation of people, never have heard of the Jedi when it was like only 20 years ago. Like, I wasn't born in the 80s, but I still know what a Rubik's Cube is.
Yeah. It makes you wonder like how popular the Jedi were even in their heyday.
Yeah.
I mean, I can only think of,
where they were there for thousands of years, and they're like, oh, they've been gone for 15? Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
We forgot about them.
Yeah, I kind of think of that like line that Shmi Skywalker says in Phantom Menace. She's like, the Republic doesn't exist out here. And so it's kind of like, I don't know if they ever, you know, an Anakin Jedi were probably like a fabled story to Anakin.
Yeah.
Like, you're not a, or I saw your laser sword or whatnot. He's like,
Yeah.
perhaps I killed him. And he's like, you couldn't have done that. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. No, I don't know. I mean, speaking of killing a man, all of the people die in this film.
Yeah.
I love that about it.
I like that about this film.
I am someone who is always cheering for people to die in whatever movie or TV show I'm watching.
And y'all think I'm the evil one.
I just think I want my expectations subverted. I want the writers to not be afraid to take characters that we love away from us. Like, we should be able to feel pain. And I think when Disney acquired Star Wars, everyone was afraid that it would be very G-rated, stun guns only, right? And this was not that. And that's why we loved it.
Yeah, I like it when it raises the stakes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like we're not afraid to kill off some people and let them stay dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I do like that about Rogue One. I love like the music with it too, and like it felt like it was incorporating all the Star Wars elements
That John Williams started. Yeah.
Yeah, like with the fresh take on it without beating a horse dead.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Talking about making things fresh, bringing in Gareth Edwards for this project.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. I mean,
Great move.
And it really showed to me that he was the director when you see the AT come out of the smoke. And, you know, it made me think back to the Godzilla film that he did. And he just does this really fantastic job of depicting scale for these, and, you know, the size of these massive big creatures or things. And it's so cool because, again, you watch The Empire Strikes Back and you get it. They're big. But if you watch this movie, especially if you watch it in the theaters, they feel big. It feels looming. And so,
especially with the Death Star. That was so cool.
Yeah. I mean, just awesome.
This was one film where I felt like as I was watching it, I made mental note. I was like, this director must be so proud of this piece of media because it is truly like such a pure vision for this, and he executed it just perfectly.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, yeah. Well, with all the things he did well in this film, what's your favorite part of this movie?
The Vader hallway scene.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Yeah. I'm going to say something different just to throw it out there. I love when Jedda's getting demolished and they have to make that daring escape and you see the planet like crumbling in on itself. That brings up kind of what you're talking about, scale.
Yeah.
Like watching the planet destruct as they're trying to leave on time. That was super cool.
Yeah. I think for me, it's absolutely the Vader hallway scene.
Mhm.
But I mean, if I had to pick a number 2, it would probably be Chirrut giving sacrificing himself
Mm-hmm.
in that
I'm
scene.
one with the Force, and the Force is with me.
Oh, and he just that was it had a very Alamo type feel seeing those two die. You're like, okay, like
Every person died valiantly, though.
Yeah.
For the cause.
Yeah.
Everyone.
yeah. I think those two, if I had to like care, it would be those two. So anyway, at least a little bit. Everyone else, I didn't care.
Maybe we'll see them in the
Andor.
Cassian show?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
maybe we will. Maybe we will. Well, do we have anything else we want to cover before we unveil our rank for this?
I don't think so.
No, all right. Well, we gave this movie a 90.27%.
Boom.
Yes.
Yep.
My solid 5s helped boost it there.
Rogue
pretty
One is
accurate.
undeniably good.
The thing, though, is it's good, but are you able to appreciate it on its own without seeing other Star Wars films? Like, when is it okay
Oh,
to
I think
introduce
so.
someone to this movie? You know?
I would say you could. It's certainly much more enjoyable because, like, if you've seen all the others, just because I think it's built in, it's threaded in, built in
Sure.
with
Yeah.
all these preconceived notions about Star Wars. And it's about, like, Star Wars has this set of kind of like rules and boundaries or a feel to the galaxy. And it's like, we're going to take those and we're going to have a bunch of fun with it. And we're not going
Yeah.
to break any of these rules. And it was like,
Except they did break a rule. They started off with, a long time ago, a galaxy far, far away, and then they just jump right in. They
Yeah.
don't have the opening scroll, and they don't have the opening theatrics.
yeah.
Which was very jarring
Yeah.
at first.
Which I think, like, I considered it as not so much as breaking a rule because it was like, we're going to do an anthology film. And I'm like, oh, they're doing something different. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm going to expect something a little different.
Yeah.
But how are you going to do this within the Star Wars universe? And it was like, that was a great example of how they did do that. And so, yeah.
Yeah. No, it was cool. It was cool. Well, with all that said, it is time for the hot take segment of the show. So, Darth Vader, take it away.
Don't be too proud of this podcast you've constructed. The ability to rank content is insignificant next to the power of an exceptional hot take.
It's hot takes time, and I've got a hot take today. Shocker, considering I actually really do like this movie. I just don't praise it as much as you two do. But that's because I don't really feel like this is a great movie. Because it shouldn't be 2 hours. It should be 7, 8, 9 hours. This
What?
show would do, or this movie would do so much better if it were in a TV show format. If we got a lot more of it and are able to really give each character the time they deserve, because they're interesting characters, but they're not fleshed out. And a lot of folks are left wanting more by the end of it. I absolutely think with the type of story this was, it could have got its own spin-off season, and it would do really, really well.
Interesting.
That's very interesting. I've never heard that.
It's interesting to think about now because when this came out, there weren't any like new Star Wars shows. Like Disney Plus wasn't a
Right.
thing, so we have to kind of take what we know now about how all of these Star Wars things are turning into TV shows. But I do think that this anthology film just does it so well. It's hard to do it well, and they hit the nail on the head, and I want to see them try it again.
I want more anthology films. We'll talk about Solo, and it's like a shame that we're not getting more anthology films. But it's funny. I kind of feel the opposite about this movie. Like I saw the movie, and I'm like, great. I'm glad I have it. One and done. I could care less to I don't want to reopen these wounds of these characters because I'm glad how they were handled in this movie. They're all great characters, even though we don't learn a bunch about each one of them. I know enough.
We know what we need to know.
We know what we need to know. They're all gone now. And that's why, like, when they announced the Andor show, I was like, what are we doing here? Are we just going to start a spin-off series on every character?
Yeah.
Like, we'll watch it, we'll rank it, and, like, I'm glad we get new Star Wars content, but I'm kind of like, if we're going to pour a bunch of resources into a live-action show, like, Andor was not the one I was thinking, you know, but we'll see how it goes. I can't judge it until I've seen it, but I kind of, like, am the opposite, where it's like, I've seen Rogue One, that's all I need to know, and I'm done. I don't want a whole
And I'm a
show.
TV show nut, too, so I usually prefer to consume my media through TV shows, and this one I gotta disagree. 2 no's.
Sorry, Brody.
Okay,
2 no's.
fine. Darth Vader.
I find your lack of good taste disturbing.
Disturbing indeed. Any other hot takes today? I guess it's
I
time
think so.
for the last segment of the show.
This is the way to trivia time!
It is trivia time, and I have the question of the day. What kind of ship did Admiral Muratis command in the last battle of Rogue One? Was it A, the Vindicator class, B, the Hammerhead corvette, C, the Hammer frigate, or D, it's a trick question?
I feel like anytime is a trick question is an available option, I need to pick it.
Yeah, we don't do that very often.
I know. Believe it or not, I did not write this question.
But it was a Hammerhead Corvette.
Yeah.
So it's not a trick question?
No, I mean, the answer is it's a trick question.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's the answer.
Why is it tricky,
What's
Brody?
the answer then?
So I don't know what's the trick of it.
I remember this question. I think the writer of this question befungled the name Admiral, what'd you say, Muratis?
Yes.
It's actually Admiral Ratis.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
That
a
sounds
BS
about right.
question.
Well, yeah. Don't.
Whoever wrote that question should never host a podcast.
Dang. Especially in cryptocurrency.
Ooh.
Oh.
Oh,
man.
guys, this is getting really specific.
Narrowing down.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, yeah. Just don't be mad at me for that question. Anyway. Well, we ranked Rogue One 90.23%, and it sits at third place. I mean, we have Empire Strikes Back at number 1, Star Wars Episode